Welcome back to another episode here on the Eternal Sith Network, where you get all your Star Wars news. Today we're going to be talking about something controversial and interesting on Ahsoka and Grogu. But before we do start, remember hit the subscribe, like, and notification bell so you're always in the know on everything Star Wars. And once you're done watching this video, go check out my last one. Give that one a thumbs up. Let's start the show. So in Mando season 3, it appears that Grogu is now going to be training as a Mandalorian. Now, with him having been trained as a Jedi with Luke and now as a Mandalorian with Din and going to Mandalore, this makes Grogu a very rare character within a galaxy far, far away. Now, one with knowledge of both ways of life, post Order 66, Grogu's strange character development in the show's past 2 seasons has created a strange plot hole, and his upbringing hasn't been mentioned previously in any of the live action films or subsequent animated TV shows. Considering Grogu's a powerful force sensitive and a member of a race that can live for centuries, this raises the important question: where was he during the sequel trilogy? Now we know that with everything going on now after, the sequel trilogy came out, we had The Mandalorian and we have all these shows coming up, but I'm going to get to something at the very, very end. But let's talk about The Mandalorian's Ahsoka Tano as well. It faces kind of the exact same issue that Grogu does. Originally, Luke Skywalker was considered the galaxy's last hope of restoring peace. The problem now, however, is that both Ahsoka and Grogu were still very active during that time period, but their whereabouts were never explained at all. An even bigger issue is that with the sequel trilogy, us as the audience, we had Rey, who again, needed to restore hope in the galaxy, but with Grogu and Ahsoka potentially alive during this time period as well, there's a strong possibility for there to be some errors somewhere when Lucasfilm finalizes the stories of both of these characters. Now, going back to what I was talking about with the sequel trilogy, we don't know where these characters have been during this timeline. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is that, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they kind of put themselves in a pickle because they just wanted to get that money back and they just put out content instead of listening to George Lucas and actually following his sequel trilogy with Darth Talon and Darth Maul when they could have gone that route. And they had promised and they had told him that they were going to go that route. They went a different route and doing it their way, which ended up, or it looks like it's going to end up backfiring. But also, too, it looks like they're going to be retconning it at some point in time. Now, one might wonder why retcon it or what's the purpose of it. Now, one can, I guess you can kind of go both ways and say, it's going to kind of stay the same. This is eventually going to lead into, this Mandoverse is going to lead into the First Order. Now, it's been rumored in the past, we've talked about it here on the channel, that there's some unseen footage of Han, Luke, and Leia. They could use this potentially to, tell a different story. As we know, the world between worlds is going to be very key. And they've already talked about changing up Obi-Wan Kenobi with Ahsoka in the Revenge of the Sith scene at the very end. So there's a lot of changes coming, I feel like, with the future of Star Wars in this timeline that we have now with Ahsoka. And that could be changing everything up. And I think that Rebels definitely changed, the narrative of having the world between worlds. It definitely can give you a different taste of the sequel trilogy where they can change things up. Now, also, too, we can't forget, we did hear Ahsoka's voice in the sequel trilogy in The Rise of Skywalker when Rey hears all the Jedi that have passed. So that is another one that everybody, that we can sit here and say, well, Grogu's still alive, Ahsoka's still alive during this time, but when did they pass? That is something for them that they're going to have to explain, and that is a problem because, again, it seems that they're still around during the time of the sequels. So, I mean, we're not that much far out into it. So we're almost at, The Force Awakens pretty soon. So I want to see how they're going to kind of like intersect these shows or the Mandoverse, keeping them either alive or basically, ending Ahsoka and Grogu. But I can't see them ending Grogu's story so quick and so early. But maybe with this new sequel, maybe with the post-sequel trilogy, they'll end up having maybe Grogu in it or maybe Ahsoka if she's still alive, if they tend to change what we had in The Rise of Skywalker with hearing her voice as she has, probably passed. But who knows? I guess we'll see where, Lucasfilm takes Grogu and Ahsoka's character. But guys, comment down below. Let me know what you think about today's theory. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, for more Star Wars content, hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell so you're always in the know on everything Star Wars here on the Eternal Sith Network. And remember, the Eternal Sith, then, now, forever. Later, guys.